So you just finished your first Linux install, but you forgot to add an account. So now you're logging in as root and everyone's telling you that's not the way to do it. We're going to cover some basic user management commands to get you squared away. Let's talk about Linux users and groups. We're going to take a look at managing local user accounts on your Linux system. Adding and managing user accounts, also adding groups and making them share things. Maybe even adding some special groups to allow someone to become an administrator and do administrative tasks on the machine. All right, so let's take a look at our systems. If you run the command whoami, that's who am I, but all smashed together, that'll tell you who you're logged into this machine as. My machine, I'm logged in as root, which is the administrator on the machine. So I'm going to become another non-privileged user account, the RHEL account. And the way I become a user on Linux is the su command for switch user. So I did su, the dash, and then the user I want to become, RHEL. Now, if I was a regular person and I was trying to switch to another regular person or root, it would ask me for that person's password to prove that I'm allowed to do that. But if I'm the administrator of the machine, I can become any user I want to. All right, so let's take a look at this RHEL user account here. So when I run the groups command, it tells me what groups this user belongs to. And by default on Red Hat distributions, which is Red Hat Enterprise Linux, CentOS, and Fedora, you are going to be a member of a user private group. So we see that there is a RHEL group of which the RHEL user is a member. And that's pretty standard for users in Red Hat distros. This user also has a special group they belong to, the wheel group. The wheel group is a default setting in our sudoers rules that allows this user to become root or do administrative tasks on the machine. Likely what happened was when this machine was installed, we added this user account as part of the install, and there was a checkbox that says permit administrative access. And when you check that box, it adds you to this group. And by belonging to this group, you're an administrator. So we'll take a look at maybe adding a user to this group in a little bit, another user. All right, but to do that, we first have to have another user. So let me become root. So I'm going to sudo, I'm going to execute as the administrative user, the following command, su, switch user, dash, and with no username, it assumes that you mean the root user of the system, the administrator. Now that I'm the root user, the administrator of the system, I can use a command called useradd. Useradd adds users to the system, and you tell it what username you want. So we're going to add a user named Franklin. So when somebody walks up to the machine, at the login prompt, they're going to type in the username, Franklin, and a password. Did you see me set that password? Nope. So that's the next thing we're going to do to the Franklin user. We're going to password using the passwd command, Franklin. And this will ask you what you want Franklin's password to be. If you type in a good password, it'll then just ask you for the password again. But here I typed in a simple password and it warns me, hey, this is a bad password. It's shorter than 8 characters. So it tells me what about the password policy I violated. But notice it then said, type it again. Because as the administrator on the machine, you can do whatever you want, including setting bad passwords for people. Now, in reality, maybe I want to use a different password policy, but maybe this is a actual in-person user where I'm going to tell them the password and they have to type it in, and I want to make it simple enough that they can remember it or type it. There's a whole bunch of things that we can do to get someone their password, to automatically set their password, to set really complex passwords. We could take a look at those in some other videos. We're just going to do some basic stuff of getting a user. We have one. His name's Franklin. Becoming that user or logging in as that user. He now has a password. So he comes up and he types in his username and his password. And then if we want, we can also make Franklin an administrator of this system. All right, so let me go back to the unprivileged RHEL user. And I'm going to log in as Franklin. So I'm going to su, switch user, dash Franklin. That's the new user I want to switch to. And it's asking me for Franklin's password. And as long as I type it correctly, now I've logged in the machine as Franklin. So this is a user in good standing who has a password. This person could potentially SSH into the machine. They could walk up to the console and log in at the login prompt. They could connect with some other remote connection technology like remote access on the console. And now they have credentials to log into this system. All right, but what if we wanted to make Franklin a fellow administrator? So let me again assume root. So I'm going to sudo, do this activity as the administrative user, su, switch user, dash, and no username assumes root. All right, just by being in the wheel group, that will grant Franklin administrative access rights to this machine. So we're going to use a command called usermod. I'm going to surprise you. It allows you to modify users. We're going to append a group to Franklin's existing groups. And actually, before we do that, why don't we just quickly take a look at groups for Franklin. So we can see that the Franklin user is a member of the Franklin group and nothing else. So we want to add that additional group on there. So we're going to usermod, append a group, that's dash capital G, wheel to Franklin. So now we're going to do another groups on Franklin. And we can see that Franklin is now a member of the Franklin private group and also the wheel group. And by being in the wheel group, the default sudo configuration that comes with Red Hat distros allows this person to use the sudo command to do administrative tasks on the machine. So that's some basic content on managing local user accounts and even a little bit on changing groups so that you can get administrative access to the system. But you want more? We've got lots more content in the channel. Check out the description below. We've got links. Thanks for watching.